In lesson 4.1, we will work on extended multiplication facts. If you do not have your facts mastered yet, please make sure to download Extra Math or use flashcards. Practice those until you have those where they're easily recalled. For today's lesson, you will need a whiteboard marker, and your math journal. We're going to start with a warm-up. On your whiteboard, would you please number 1, number 2, and number 3. We're looking at factors for 20, 24, and 35. Typically, we have been writing factors this way, but sometimes we will find that we will write them in a line. So the way I do it is I think, okay, 1 times 20, and I put a comma in between both, 2 and 10, and 4 and 5. So you will write out the factors for 24 and 35. Then it asks you to circle the factors that are prime. Remember, prime means they have exactly 2 factors. And those 2 factors happen to be 1 and itself. So if I were going to go ahead, and circle the ones that are prime, 1 is not prime or composite, 2 is prime, 5 is prime. So go ahead and do that for number 2 and number 3. You will need to stop your video and complete this on your whiteboard. Go ahead and pause it. For number 2, I have 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. The factors that are prime would be 2, 3, and that's it. And then for 35, 1 times 35, and 5 times 7. The factors that are prime, 5 and 7. Go ahead and erase your whiteboard. You're going to notice that in each of these fractions, we are trying to come up with an equivalent fraction. So for number 1, you need to find the missing denominator. Number 2, the missing denominator. Number 3, the missing denominator. And number 4, the missing numerator. So go ahead and write out these fractions and fill in the missing number. Go ahead and pause the video. For number 1, we multiply by 4 on the top, so I multiply by 4 on the bottom. 3/7 is the same as 12/28. They're equivalent. Multiplied by 7 on the top, so I multiply by 7 on the bottom. 4/5 is equivalent to 28/35. The next one, I can say I multiplied by 7 this way, or I say I divided by 7. So if we multiply by 7 going to the left, that's what we do here, 49. So 21/49 is equivalent to 3/7. And lastly, here we divided by 5. So I must divide the top number by 5. 40 divided by 5 is 8. 40/45 is the same or equivalent as 8/9. We're going to go ahead and move into our math journal. All of this entire unit really deals with multiplication. So we're going to begin on page 105, lesson 4.1. And at the top it says multiplying ones by tens and hundreds. Write a multiplication fact for each fact triangle. Here is your fact triangle. Then extend the fact by changing the first factor. Here are your factors. First to a multiple of 10 and then to a multiple of 100. So the original fact is 2 times 3 equals 6. Notice that this asterisk means the same thing as multiply. If we extend the 2 to a multiple of 10, we say 20 times 3 is 60, or 2 times 3 is 6, and we add in 1 0. Then we're going to extend that same factor and make it a multiple of 100. So 200 times 3 is 600, or I take 2 times 3, which is 6, and then add on the 2 zeros at the end. That is what we are going to do for the remainder of this page. Number 1, original fact is 6 times 8 equals 48. Then we're going to extend the 6 and make it a multiple of 10. So 60 times 8. The basic fact is still the same. 6 times 8 is 48. I add in 1 0 at the end. And now let's take that 6 and make it a multiple of 100. 600 times 8. 6 times 8 is still 48. But I have 2 zeros to add on to the product. Number 2, our original fact is 4 times 7 equals 28, or 28 divided by 7 equals 4. But since we're working multiplication, we'll take 4 times 7 equals 28. Make sure you're writing this on journal page 105 as you're watching this video. We'll extend the 4 and make it 40 times 7. 4 times 7 is still 28. I add the 0 on the end. 40 times 7 is 280. We'll extend that 4 and make it 400 times 7. 4 times 7 is still 28. 2 zeros I add to the end. Continuing on to number 3, we're still on page 105. The original fact is 8 times 9 equals 72. We're going to extend that 8 to make it a multiple of 10, as in 10, 20, 30, 40, times 9. Well, 8 times 9 is still 72. And we add a 0 on the end. And lastly, we'll extend that 8 to make it 800 times 9. 800 times 9 is 7,200. Number 4, what rule can you use to multiply ones by 10, such as 30 times 6? Well, you calculate the basic fact, or solve for the basic fact, and then attach 0 unto the end. So in this case of 30 times 6, we would add on 1 0. If you would go ahead and turn the page to page 106, we're going to continue multiplying tens by tens this time. Still working with our fact triangles. They already extended the fact. 3 times 5 is 15. I count 2 zeros after it, so I add 2 zeros to my product, the answer when I multiply. The directions read, write a multiplication fact for each fact triangle shown below. Then extend this fact by changing both factors to multiples of 10. So I will do the first 2, and then you'll be able to do the last 3 on your own. So the original fact is 4 times 6 equals 24. Now we're going to extend the 4 and make it a multiple of 10 by saying 40. Then extend the 6 to make it 60. 4 times 6 is 24. Then I count my zeros. There's 1, 2. I add 2 to my product. The answer is 2,400 when you multiply 40 times 60. Number 2, the original fact is 8 times 2 equals 16. We're going to extend the 8 and make it 80, and the 2 to 20. 8 times 2 is still 16. Go ahead and add your 2 zeros after 80 times 20 is 1,600. You'll notice that there are 3 more problems on page 106, number 3, 4, and then you'll write a rule for number 5. So go ahead and just finish that in your math journal and then see what else you need to do for today's lesson.